I had never seen anything like it. "So I can't see the parking lot from here?" I asked in a curious tone, only to be met with a shrug. "You can't see anything through this window. The others work fine." It took a few minutes to convince me to move from where I was frozen, looking through the window that didn't seem to lead anywhere. All it showed was darkness, and no matter how long I stared, it didn't change. After what felt like ages of standing there, though, I was forced to move along on the tour. You never rent an apartment and expect that something strange will be there right off the bat. I mean, you expect the weird things, just not exactly immediately. I've lived in many apartments throughout my life, but the one I moved into a few months ago is by far the one that sends shivers down my spine the most. There's always that one thing off about an apartment building. Either the neighbors are too loud, the doors creak, you can't seem to fall asleep, or a myriad of other things. But a window that doesn't look outside, how do you explain that? When my father had first come to visit, he'd been stopped by the absurdity of a window that didn't look outside as well. He'd asked to be excused and went outside. I had looked through the other windows and could see him there. He was standing directly at the window, which meant that he'd realized the same thing as me. The window was still outside. It just couldn't show what was out there. When he came back inside, he went over to the window once more and pressed his hand to it. It was cold, he told me later, despite the heat of summer already setting in. At first, I was okay with the window. From what I could tell, when you were outside, it didn't actually look into the apartment building. It was there, fairly obviously, but it was almost as if someone had closed a curtain. I hadn't bothered to put any up yet. I've lived here for a few months now, which means that I've had plenty of time to either get creeped out by the window or become more comfortable with it. I wish I could say that now. Last week, when I was trying to get sleep, there was an unsettling noise filling my apartment. There were noisy neighbors, but they quieted down ages ago, and it was 4 a.m. Believe me, that was my first thought, that I should actually go check and see if it was them. But the noise was not people. The noise was a snarling from the back of someone's throat. It'd grow louder, filling my thoughts with only that before fading away into the background for a few minutes. I was unable to sleep, and after an hour of this, I decided to go investigate. My first thought wasn't to go to the window. My first thought was to grab a knife from the kitchen, which was conveniently located near my bedroom. It had taken me a few minutes, but once I'd gotten it, I'd looked around my dark apartment. Nothing. Not even a shadow, other than my own and the familiar ones I'd recognize as my furniture. But for whatever stupid reason, I did decide to go towards the window. I don't know why, I couldn't explain it. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the undying curiosity to see if it would finally look outside. Maybe it was the fact that it had been right behind my couch. I looked through, expecting to see the same black and unmoving scene that I always had, but the faint growling that I'd managed to tune out was almost unbearable now. I whirled around, looking to see if there was somebody or something there to kill me, but once again, nothing. I hadn't even begun to process what was in the window, because it was not unmoving. There seemed to be dust gathering and floating down to the parking lot, like I'd hoped if the window were a functioning one. Despite me wanting a familiar thing more than anything, the scene was devoid of color. I could see flames climbing up the inside of the window, and the snarling suddenly snapped me out of it. I scrambled to get to the other side of the couch to look through the other window there, and it was just the parking lot, illuminated by the streetlights. Needless to say, I did not get any sleep that night. But this did not stop. It continued for what was hours each night. And every single night, I've been drawn back to the window where the scene has begun to change drastically. What used to be a dark, unmoving scene became vibrant and lively, if you can call it that. It's lively in that sort of sick and twisted way where you can say that it's dreamy, but only when you don't know the implications. I'm not sure if I can describe what I've seen without feeling sick or thinking back on that growling. The growling that leads me to so many sleepless nights and nightmares. Neither of these things have stopped, and it's led me to a conclusion. My window does not look outside. It looks to another place, a place that I don't know the name of. They're in chaos, and this is the only way they can contact others. They want me to join them. Tomorrow night, I'm leaving the apartment. I don't know where I'm going, or what I'm going to do, or if this is going to stop anything. But I have seen my name engraved into that window while there's someone breathing down my neck. I don't know what compelled me to look, but I don't think I can come back without losing my life or my sanity.